Hey guys, it's Andrew Esquivel here, back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the inateck SL2001 lighting system. Now, this lighting system can be used for many applications, whether it's for your Christmas tree, your window, or other sorts of decorations, but considering it is the holiday season, I did put it on my Christmas tree. And I'm going to go over basically how it all works, the details, information, and that's important because this lighting system is capable of doing several things that other lighting systems don't generally do. So first off, you'll be getting it in a small box. The box will contain the lighting system, which consists of 100 LEDs, and the general length is about 33 feet. So that's part one. Part two is this nifty remote that allows you to control the lights from a distance. Now, it does everything from the general brightness to flicker patterns and just kind of another type of patterning of lights going lighter, brighter, and dimmer. So, let's go over the last portion really quick, which is the AC to DC adapter. In one of the smaller boxes you'll find in the set of boxes, you will get this thing right here, which also plugs into the wall via this little circular connection. And this does more than just give power to the system. This is the infrared sensor that the system uses in order for you to control the lights from a distance. So let's talk about the lights. It's on this kind of interesting copper wire system where it looks like it's bare copper and you might be afraid to touch it, but it's actually okay to touch. The LEDs are actually embedded into the system, and because of that, it's really important that you do not nick the system in a way that will cut the connection, because if anywhere on this system the connection is severed, the system will cease to exist permanently. Keep that in mind. So, let's talk about the remote control here and the infrared system. Unfortunately, in my experience, the infrared system that they use with this controller is a total crapshoot. I would say about maybe 10% of the time the remote actually works. That's because I have to get this infrared light to point at a very tiny sensor way over there. And I know my camera's not really focusing on it, but if I'm lucky, the system will actually recognize that I'm trying to do something to it. Because of that issue, I find that it's better to just find one setting you like and keep it at that rather than trying to fiddle with it constantly. So let's actually try and do something. First off, we're going to go with the most basic of basic operations here. And if my camera would be so kind as to focus. We have on and off. Let's try on and off first. They're already on, let's try off. Off and on. Luckily it worked that time. Hopefully it'll continue to do so throughout the rest of the review. Now let's talk about these white buttons up here, up and down. This should change the brightness of the LEDs. But as you can see, I'm pressing buttons and nothing is really happening. I find that if you want to change the brightness of the LEDs, a better option instead of the up and down button is to use this set of buttons right here. You'll notice it's 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, yada yada, so on in increments of 10. This is the percentage of output that it can do. So think of it as brightness, 100% brightness or 10% brightness. So let's make sure we are at 100. And let's see if we can go down to 10. There's 10. And we can incrementally go brighter and brighter. Let's try back to 100. And this is what I was talking about, folks. You try to get the system to register or function, and you try whatever you can to get that infrared sensor to see that you're trying to do something and it just doesn't register, making it a pain in the butt to adjust anything on this system. So you'll sit here trying to make it do something and it just doesn't do anything. And you know you're pressing the right button, it's just not working. So sometimes we have to get absurdly close to make it register, which stinks because the point of the remote is to be able to sit down or be at a distance and control the system without having to be right next to it. If I wanted to control the system right next to it, I would have much preferred some sort of physical switch. Better yet, instead of infrared, they should have gone with some sort of radio frequency system that you see nowadays, which is much more popular. Things like the Roku uses radio frequencies, so it doesn't matter where the remote is. You press a button and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. So if we can get close and try this again, it just seems like the up and down buttons just aren't doing anything, but the blue buttons appear to be doing something. So let's stay at this distance just so I can demonstrate the other functions of the lights here. The first thing we're going to go over, other than what we just went over, is the orange series. Let's go with clear, which is what it's on right now. You'll notice it's a steady light stream, nothing changed about it, it's just constant. We're going to go to down here, and you notice it says 1 Hertz, 2 Hertz, 3 Hertz. This is the frequency that the lights will blink at. So let's try 1 Hertz. Okay, let's try 2 Hertz. And let's try 3 Hertz. These lights are actually pretty bright for what they are, so honestly, I wouldn't use this kind of thing unless it was like a Windows sort of light setup. Now, the last of these orange ones is something called FF, and it does this. But I'm going to put it back to clear so that it doesn't hurt my eyes here. Next, we're going to go over the last column, which is smooth, and then you'll see it goes to 20 second. And you know, another thing they really should have done with this remote is made the contrast for reading this easier. This dark blue is not easy to read in real life. So we got 20 second, 15 second, 10 second, and 5 second. So let's start with smooth. Notice the lights just kind of go dim and bright, dim and bright. So let's go with the 20 second, 15 second. It makes it slower, it looks like. Then we go to, we're just going lower and lower in the list. Basically, for whatever reason, these seconds, the lower you go in seconds, the slower it goes, which doesn't make sense to me. You would think the number system would be indicating how long it takes to go through a cycle of low light to bright and back to low. But the faster seconds you have, the slower it seems to go. Not very intuitive. So, with all that in mind, we essentially have a remote system that isn't very helpful. Now, let's talk about the light quality itself here. As you can see, if I back up a bit, I've got what I would consider to be a decent-sized tree. It almost goes up to the ceiling with the little star, and I do have a tall ceiling. So if you have a big tree or a medium-sized tree, however you decide to look at this tree in terms of its overall size, the 33 feet only gets me 4 wraps, which is a bit unfortunate. I was really hoping that it would get me more. So it's not really colorful either. So if you're looking for colors, Inateck does offer a different option that has various colors that you can use. So if you're looking for length, this is not for you. If you're looking for something that just works, this is definitely not for you. And most importantly, and heed this warning, if you have a real tree, do not get this light set. Here's why. This light set simply cannot be subjected to any sort of steam or water. A real tree has to go through a sweating process. And you'll also have to spray it down with water and from what I understand, put the stem of the tree, the large portion of the trunk, in some water to help so the tree remain green. That would be indeed exposing it to steam and or water. That will supposedly destroy the system. Those 2 warnings came on the box in addition to the do not kill the system by cutting it in any way. So you're limited to artificial trees only for safety reasons, which is a real bummer because these lights are so cool to the touch. They're not like traditional lights. They don't produce heat, honestly. On a normal tree, you know, a lot of people lose their houses every year because their tree catches on fire. And that's a terrible thing to happen, especially around the holidays when you're supposed to have, you know, good cheer and happiness and what have you. So you would think, hey, LED light system, awesome, right? Not this one. Don't do it. Ultimately, what we have here is a product that I really just can't recommend. There's just too many things wrong with it. The remote system doesn't work. The options for placing the lights on the type of trees is very limited because you have to go with artificial. The length of the wiring isn't very long. The system is quite sensitive. You know, it's just all those things combined just doesn't make for a very good lighting system. I wanted it to work because it's really cool looking. I mean, when you first get it, you see all the copper wire and the lights embedded, and it only burns a few watts of power, which is great. That's the whole point of an LED system, is to be more power efficient, but it's kind of negated by the fact that there's so many shortcomings with it. What I would honestly do is go to Walmart, buy one of the colored light systems that use LEDs, and stick with that. At least those LEDs are replaceable should they go bad. It's a heavier gauge wire that's not some exposed copper, and it may be a simple plug and play kind of situation, but it should be reliable. I mean, LEDs don't burn out very quickly, and you'll be able to use it on a regular tree. And they also produce less heat as well than your regular Christmas lights because they're LEDs. All in all, I think Inateck did something interesting with this product, with its design. Its execution was not good. They really should have done more R&D. They should have tested it more to see if everything would work out. And the last thing I want to add is, you'll see that there's 2 wires here. This is all part of the same direction of strand, which it's got a termination at the very end. This small 2-wire system has made it very difficult to wrap around the tree. So when you're putting up the tree, it makes it a little more difficult than a standard string of lights. So that's just another small gripe. Honestly, stringing lights in general is just kind of like, a bit of a challenge because it gets stuck on the branches and what have you, but you get concerned because the gauge of this wire is so thin that you might be concerned of breaking it and, you know, ending or breaking the connection, and then you have a useless set of lights. So, get something else, guys. This really isn't worth getting. And suffice it to say, this is definitely not an outdoor lighting system either. The systems I was describing at Walmart that you can get for $15 or less and get much more length and color and variety and safety and etc. is indoor and outdoor. So, well, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, show your friends, check out my other videos. I got plenty of them. And have a happy holidays, guys. Drive safe this winter and spread the good cheer and joy.